All right, so in this video, we're going to solve these polynomial inequalities over here, and we're going to solve them using the chart method. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure your equation is fully factored, which is true for this case. I'll just state my solutions really quick. X equals -1, x equals to 2, and x equals to -3. And then we want to create a chart. The first column of your chart is just going to have all your factors over there. So I have x plus 1, x minus 2, and x plus 3 squared. Those are my factors over there. And then the columns for the chart are going to include all our x values. So our lowest x value is -3. So the first column is going to be from -infinity till -3. Always start at -infinity and you go to your lowest solution. My next one is from -3 to -1. My next one is from -1 to +2. And then my last one is going to be from +2 to +infinity. We always end at +infinity, assuming there's no domain given in the question. So now I need to test all of these ranges over here. Let's start with this range here between -infinity and -3. So pick any number between -infinity and -3. I'm going to pick -4. -4 plus 1 is -3, which is a negative value. -4 minus 2 is -6, which is also a negative value. And over here, it doesn't matter what I pick, the bracket is squared, so this one will always be positive, no matter what number you pick. If a bracket is squared, it'll always be positive. So I'll just fill those in really quick. So now I have negative times negative, which is positive, and then positive times positive is positive. So this one is positive over here. I'll pick a number between -3 and -1, so I'll pick -2. -2 plus 1 is negative. -2 minus 2 is also negative. And negative times negative is positive, times positive is again positive. I'll pick a value between -1 and 2. I'll pick 0. 0 plus 1 is positive. 0 minus 2 is negative. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times positive is negative. So basically, if you have an even number of negative signs, it turns positive. If you have an odd number of negative signs, it stays negative. Let's test the last range over here. Pick any number between 2 and infinity. I'll pick +3. 3 plus 1 is 4. That's positive. 3 minus 2 is 1. That's also positive. Positive times positive times positive is just a positive number. So now this question tells me to state where this equation is less than 0. And less than 0 is basically negative. So if I look at my final row over here, there's only one negative range, and that range is between -1 and 2. So this is my solution that satisfies this polynomial inequality. Let's take a look at the second example over here. Then I'm going to do my first column. And the first thing I'll include there is -2. And I have x minus 1. Then I have 2x plus 5. And then I have x minus 7. I'll state my solutions here really quick. X equals 1, x equals -5/2, and x equals to 7. So the lowest is -5/2, so I'm going from -infinity till -5/2. Then I'm going from -5/2 till +1. Then I'm going from +1 to +7. And then the last one is from +7 to +infinity. So if I have -2 here, it doesn't matter what value of x you have, it's always going to be negative because there's no x there, it's just negative coefficient. So now I'll test these three over here. I'll pick -5. -5 is a value between -infinity and -5/2. So -5 minus 1 is -6. That's negative. 2 times -5 is -10, plus 5 is -5. So this is also negative. -5 minus 7 is -12, which is also negative. Negative times negative times negative times negative. That's 4 negatives. That just makes a positive. The value between these two, I'll just pick 0. 0 minus 1 is negative. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 5, that's positive. 0 minus 7 is negative. 3 negatives are going to make it a negative. Because if you multiply 3 negatives and 1 positive, it stays as a negative. Between these two, I'll pick a value of 2. 2 minus 1 is positive. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 5 is positive. 2 minus 7 is negative. 2 negatives make positive. The positive signs don't matter. And this last range over here is, I'll pick positive 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. That's positive. 2 times 8 plus 5 is definitely going to be positive. 8 minus 7 is also positive. So I just have one negative here, which means that if I multiply all of these, it's going to stay as a negative. This question asks me where this inequality is greater than 0. I have two positive values. Positive values are greater than 0, two positive intervals. So this interval here is between -infinity and -5/2. And this positive interval here is between 1 and 7. I have a third and final question over here, and this one is in standard form. So we're going to have to factor this first, but I'm going to move these three terms and subtract it on this side. So I have x cubed minus 2x squared minus 19x plus 20 is less than or equal to 0. To factor this with factor theorem, I'll test +1 first, and f of 1 is 0. I'll divide this. You can do long division or synthetic division. I'll just do synthetic division because it's a bit quicker, but if you're not allowed to do synthetic, just do long division, you will get the same solution. So if I write this in factored form, it's going to be x minus 1 times x squared minus x minus 20 is less than or equal to 0. If you do long division, you should get the exact same thing, and then I can factor this with man. So what multiplies to -20 and adds to -1 is just -5 and +4 is less than or equal to 0. So now the steps are just the same. I'm going to state my solutions first. X equals to 1, x equals to 5, x equals to -4. I'm going to make my chart. X minus 1, x minus 5, x plus 4. And then over here, I'm going to pick my lowest number, -4. So I start with -infinity to -4. Then I have -4 to +1. Then I have +1 to +5. Just taking these values here, and then last one is 5 till infinity. Let's start with testing this first column over here. I'll pick -5 as a value between these two. -5 minus 1 is -6. -5 minus 5 is -10. -5 plus 4 is -1. So three negatives stay as a negative. I'll pick 0 between these two. 0 minus 1 is -1. 0 minus 5 is -5. 0 plus 4 is +4. Two negatives make a positive. And then over here, oh, one thing I forgot to mention, well, we don't have to worry about it in there, I guess, but I'll mention in the final solution. I'll pick +2. 2 minus 1 is positive. 2 minus 5 is negative. 2 plus 4 is positive. So just one negative there. I'll pick +6. 6 minus 1 is 5. That's positive. 6 minus 5 is 1. That's also positive. 6 plus 4 is 10. That's also positive. This is just positive. So this question says, where is this inequality less than or equal to 0? Which means where is it negative? It's negative into these two intervals. But because there's a less than equal to sign, make sure you include a less than equal sign over here. If you're using brackets, technically you should be using square brackets. And again, you don't have to worry about it in the table. Just make sure in your final answer you use the less than equal to sign. If you're using brackets in the final answer, make sure you use square brackets for the correct solutions. Technically, they should all be square brackets except around the infinities. So negative infinity to -4 is one solution, and then the other solution is 1 to 5. And for the infinity, you don't need to put an equal sign. That's not necessary.